If you are a side hustler, you know you're always running out of time. You've probably had to give up a lot of things: time with friends, time with family or your partner, even time for yourself. Forgetting to work out, cook for yourself, all of that. The time just keeps running out. Then you start asking yourself, can I keep going like this? Is this even worth it? I just want to rest. But the burnout slowly eats away at you until one day you realize, I can't do this anymore. I don't want you to give up. I've been there. I've definitely felt that way at one point in my life, actually until pretty recently. And I can tell you, you need to know about this. What I'm about to tell you will change your lifestyle, the way you see things, and give you a clear idea of what to prioritize. I'm not going to say something cliche like, oh, time with your family matters more than anything. No, the whole point of us working, hustling, and grinding is because we want more abundant family time without financial worry in the future. So yeah, we have to make some trade-offs here, and it's not easy. If you miss what I'm about to share, you might give up one day because of those prevalent ideas: value family time more than anything, or maintain a healthy lifestyle, that make you feel guilty for not being able to do them because of all the side hustles you're juggling. So today, I'm going to share 3 key strategies that help me escape that exhausted burnout hustler life without giving up anything I care about. In fact, after implementing these 3 habits, I went from working 7 days a week feeling guilty to taking every Sunday completely off while actually becoming more productive. By the end of this video, you'll have a concrete framework you can apply starting tomorrow morning. The first thing starts with a conversation I had with a billionaire. I hope YouTube doesn't censor my video thinking it's not real, but this actually happened. So I was a product or interface designer for many years. I was working for one of the big entertainment companies in France, and one day our design team received an invitation to the launching party at Figma. Now, for those of you who don't know what Figma is, it's this huge software that designers and developers use to make software interfaces. Now, in 2022, they just opened an office in Paris, and our design team got invited to that launching party. It was so crowded. So I was just looking around, and there was this random developer-looking guy also just kind of looking around, and our eyes met. And you know when you make eye contact with a stranger and it feels kind of awkward? So I just turned my head away. Then about 10 to 15 minutes later, this big spotlight just flashed out of nowhere, and the host of the launching party shouted, "Please welcome the founder of Figma." And that developer walked toward the stage. I was shocked. Wait, that random guy in the crowd who I thought was just a developer, he is the CEO of this billion-dollar company, like who built this amazing product. The party continued with his speech, food, and networking, and I had a chance to talk to him. Now, knowing he was the CEO this time, I asked, what's the best advice you can give to someone who wants to launch their own business? I'd always been dreaming about this, so somewhat that was the first question I could come up with. Dylan, the founder, reflected for a few seconds and said, find balance in your life. It's going to be a long haul. It took me decades to be here. If I hadn't sustained a balanced life, working out, relationships, time for myself, it would have been very difficult to keep it up. You know, that situation was so interesting. Before he walked on to the stage, he was just a guy in the crowd. Nobody really noticed him, at least I didn't. And only after he was on that stage with all the spotlight on him, I saw him with eyes of amazement. The time he had been through for decades to build his product with very few people recognizing his work must have been like that moment before he went up on stage. No one really noticed or recognized him until he finally made it and they saw him on the stage. And the advice he gave me, or really to anyone working on their project, was to be prepared for the long haul. And for that, balance is the key. What made him stand on that stage was not an overnight spotlight, but decades of patience and balance that he kept up with. Now, that was in my past, and I kept that advice in the back of my mind. But life got busy, and I turned out to be a really stubborn side hustler, and even more so now because I'm not working a 9 to 5 anymore. I'm fully focused on this project. So when you don't have that steady income coming in, you feel even more responsibility for what you're working on. So when I fell behind on what I was supposed to do, or when I was filming and the footage didn't turn out how I intended, so I had to just scrap it, or posting content after spending hours on it and getting no views, I felt like I just wasted my time. Even a few days ago, I got all dolled up, makeup and hair done, set up all the cameras, and even canceled going to a party so I could film content for my hobby channel. And after editing the footage, it just didn't turn out how I intended. I was like, did I just waste 5 hours on this? I felt really bad, especially when I didn't have the results I wanted. But things take time, right? Those were the trials I had to go through to learn what works and what doesn't. So I started shifting my mindset from I'm running behind to this is part of the learning curve. I decided to give myself a month of guilt-free learning time. Now, every time that failure feeling creeps in, I remind myself that I'm in my learning month. I think about this every morning. So this is the first key habit that you want to build to make you feel more balanced. Have an affirmation that it's okay, you're learning. Now, the next thing is really important because any side hustler or self-employed person can relate to this. You have so many things you want to check off. You're constantly working day to night, Monday to Sunday. You're in this constant work mode, and it was exactly the same for me. Until one day, I had this conversation with my partner. He was like, let's do this, and this, and this. And I was like, I really wish I could. I really want to, but I knew I'd need a consistent routine to make it work. I didn't want to give up my priorities like relationships, which are actually way more important than anything else. So I decided to take every Sunday off, the same day as my partner, so I could really spend time connecting with him, friends, and family without making myself feel bad for not working. Really dedicating that time so I could balance other aspects of my life beyond work. So last Sunday, I completely disconnected from work. I didn't even let myself brainstorm because I'm always thinking about it otherwise. And something amazing happened. Have you guys noticed this effect after a long holiday or vacation and you come back to work feeling fresh and good, like you're more productive and more creative? That's exactly how I felt. Before, it felt like endless work, and if I ever skipped a day of work, I felt terrible. But making this conscious choice about which day or even which evening I'd give myself as a mini weekend really changed how I felt about recharging. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard about the power of atomic habits, making goals achievable by breaking them down into smaller goals. I'm a huge believer in that. However, there's a risk of running towards small checklists. I always have a checklist or calendar that I use as a reference to make sure I hit my daily goals, but there are some days when I miss quite a few things, and seeing those unchecked boxes made me feel like I didn't do much, even though I'd actually accomplished quite a lot that day. So it creates this illusion that you can't even keep up with the small things, so how are you going to achieve the big things? So you might feel burned out by these tight, dense small goals you're trying to keep up with. What was missing was a concrete, measurable, long-term goal. Before, I was just thinking,
my goal is to live my hobbies.
but that felt really vague and blurry. So I was relying on small tasks more than what I was actually trying to achieve. Then a few days ago, I sat down and mapped out my financial plan to check my timeline. And this made me create a concrete goal instead of just saying, I'm going to live off my hobby no matter how long it takes. Now, I set my goal to make a minimum of $2,000 per month through this monetization journey within 6 months. And the change has been surprising. Having the midterm goal gave me a much clearer idea of what to focus on, like how to implement a monetization strategy in my content and how to build my product even before having that many followers. Now I'm going to share this with you guys too, so stay tuned. So this concrete, measurable goal has already changed what I'm focusing on, and even when I didn't accomplish all the tasks of my small checklist, I still knew concretely how I was going to achieve this along the way, so I still felt confident. So think about your big goal structure rather than just hustling through small goals. Small goals serve as the foundation for building habits, while big goals become the foundation for keeping yourself going in the long run. The key here is that productivity comes from giving yourself time and granting yourself that generous mindset. So first, try this affirmation every morning. It's okay, you are learning. Second, schedule one disconnected day or an evening. Could be a Sunday, could be a Friday night, where you completely step away from work and feel guilt-free about it and let yourself fully recharge. And third, keep your eyes on that big, concrete, measurable goal. Don't just chase a small daily task. Use the big goal as your North Star, your guideline for everything you do, even in your daily life. Thank you so much for watching this. If you got something out of it, please like this video. It really helps and motivates me. And I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Have you been in this burnout situation? Drop a comment and tell me how you're handling it or what's working for you. If you're working on monetizing your hobby or building a life project that actually means something to you, subscribe. I'm right here with you, figuring this out and sharing everything along the way. And remember, until the day our passions pay the bills, I'll catch you in the next one.